And welcome back, everyone, to Dragon Ball Z What If? What if the Z Fighters were all Saiyans minus Piccolo? Because that one just can't work out for the story. Last time on the Dragon Ball Z What If, I basically used Dragon Ball as just kind of like a sum up to what we're really going into. Dragon Ball Z. I mean, we still had a bit of a story there. There was still definitely some character interactions, Goku learning very early that he is an alien, all that goodness. Real quick, someone did bring up the question, not even the question. Someone brought up that they didn't think Yamcha had enough energy to create a fake moon, an artificial moon. My response to that is I don't actually know. In fact, you know what? I'm going to look it up right now. I don't actually know what the requirements are to make an artificial moon. Let's see. Artificial moon technique, Dragon Ball. Let's oh, there we go. Artificial moon, Dragon Ball Z. What is the requirement? Because as far as I remember, and I'm about to find out right now, I've never known that technique to need any sort of like amount of power. I mean, don't get me wrong. By combining ki with the planet's atmosphere, sphere condensed blood waves to create. Using it, they can achieve a great ape transformation even when there's no full moon is not present. Checking is apparently very tiring, so its primary use is a last resort. Even say there we go. Saiyans that can use it prefer to transform using a planetary body. Vegeta mentions Goku that he planned a trip to Earth to coincide with their full moon. Okay, so it does sound like it's a tiring technique to use, and you do have to use energy from the planet's atmosphere to do it. That doesn't, however, necessarily mean a low-level Saiyan couldn't do it, because here's the thing. It sounds like a technique any Saiyan would know. Because we've even seen lower-class Saiyans like Bardock's crew, who, all strong, are not Vegeta-level power, use that technique multiple times. So my guess is, as it said, it's something that you basically just learn eventually to utilize, and it's something that is still a last resort. So the idea that Yamcha or Tien or someone could still use it, even being low-class Saiyans like that, I don't think is impossible, especially if they still had enough records of their Saiyan, background in their ships to be able to, learn it from there. But that doesn't mean they would have been using it willy-nilly or at all, or had any real reason to use it. Now, that all being said, we're now in the Dragon Ball Z phase of the story. We have the 5-year gap. Now, in the 5-year gap, I do think because of, them knowing each other as Saiyans, all that, Saiyan Brotherhood, if you want to call it, they do spend a bit more time training together, particularly Goku, Yamcha, and Krillin. Tien and Chaozu still train on their own, because Tien is still very much the Vegeta of the group, a bit more of a loner. Although he's nowhere near as bad as Vegeta at this point. He's gotten over the whole we should take over the world kind of thing. It's more that he just prefers the solitude. Like, Vegeta doesn't regularly train with Goku until Super. I mean, granted, Goku's dead most of the time, but you get my point. It's not until after Beerus that Goku and Vegeta are training regularly, because they started training regularly around there. When they were all alive, none of them were really training regularly together. Again, albeit because Goku was either dead or away most of the time. So I can see Tien kind of being the same. Now, if we're going by power-wise, and we're still at that point in the series where power levels matter, because Saiyan physiology, getting some minor Zenkais, I will say this. Tien and Chaozu are probably getting the least buffs here. I'm going to put Chaozu very kindly, thanks to some Zenkais he's getting, around 200. I'm going to put Tien only around 400. I'll also put Yamcha around the 400. Krillin, however, I'm going to put around 500, because Krillin is just naturally stronger than Yamcha. And while Tien was technically naturally stronger than Krillin, Tien hindered himself by solely training with Chaozu so often. Goku, I think, who is the strongest, obviously, is going to be around 600. And Piccolo is also going to be around 500. The reason Piccolo is going to be stronger here but not as strong as Goku is he's trying to compensate for all the Saiyans, but he's just not able to get to the level where he's going to be able to do that. So, okay, there's your powers. Let's talk a bit more about what's going on. Them meeting up at Kame's place after, after all these years. Although, again, a lot of this Yamcha, Krillin, They've all been hanging out with him before, so they've met Gohan at least once or twice, minimum. And there's like Gohan's a cute kid. He's half Saiyan. Oh man, I haven't heard much about it. I don't know much, but I know hybrids are supposed to have even more potential than we are. Really? It's like, yeah, he may be stronger than you. Awesome, son. You might be stronger than me one day. It's like, he's shy. By the by, someone did mention that Yamcha could be a version of Yam in terms of Saiyan names. Just randomness. But I'm like, that makes sense. Now trying to think of Krillin and Tien. I've been trying to think of Tien, like turmeric. That could be like that's one, but Tien doesn't really work in that sense. Regardless, try thinking up Chaozu. They're interacting. They're all having a good time. Yeah, they do. I was like, so you've been making sure not to make sure he doesn't look at the moon. Yeah, don't worry. I've been keeping an eye on him. At that point, Raditz lands on the planet. He encounters Piccolo. Now, Piccolo being much stronger here. I mean, not great. He's with his weights on. He's still only about 400 versus the 500. So when he blasts Raditz probably, instead of just taking the shot, probably more just boom, backhands it. Well, you're not. Well, if you're the best this planet has to offer, then I suppose. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Where's my scouter? There it is. Get the noise. All right then. Sorry, the Frieza voice is going on there. And so he's like, I see. So that must be what Kakarot is. It's your lucky day, Namekian, and I'll bid you adieu. And then he flies off, and they all sense like, whoa, that power. It's like, and they're all sentient. Tien's also probably showing up with Chaozu just to, try to have interactions. So try to be social. And it's like, that's that energy. That's Saiyan energy. But I haven't felt one like this powerful since we were back on planet Vegeta. It's like, you remember back then? Of course I remember back then, but that's not the point. What is it? I finally found you, Kakarot! It's like, what? So this is what you've been hiding. And wait, and then he quickly makes note that these are actually all relatively decent powered fighters. Not like his level by any stretch of the means, but still decently powerful. And wait a minute, it's like, wait. I knew Kakarot was in this planet. What are you all doing here? To think there are more Saiyans here. Magnificent. Yeah, Vegeta and Nappa Vegeta will be pleased to hear this. Though I don't, but we'll have to keep it a little secret from Lord Frieza. Wait, what's going on here? What are you talking? What do you mean what's going on here? Clearly you were also sent to this loser planet to conquer it, and clearly you all failed. What, did you hit your head when you landed here? It's like, well, actually, yeah, I did. But that's not the point. Who are you? I'm your You don't remember, then. I'm your brother, Kakarot. They're just standing like, what? I am Raditz. And it's like, oh, tell me you don't remember me. And he finally recognizes Tien's. Wait, what do you... Wait, I do kind of remember him now. Because Tien is older than Goku. I don't remember by how much, but he is older. Or he's at least in the same age range, so he might be able to, might have seen Raditz around, because Raditz isn't that much older than Goku, but he is older. But how are you still around? Oh, it's a long story, but right now we're dealing with the topic of your failure to take this planet as an asset for our employer. Then Yamcha's like, look, I don't know what you're talking about, buddy, and it's great to know there's another Saiyan still alive. But we're now we eked out a good living here. We don't need to try to conquer the damn place. Don't need to conquer the. I mean, you must be joking me, right? You're not joking. Are you? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with all of you? It's like, look, I may not know much about my heritage, and it's great to know I have a brother. But this is not how we do things. And again, he just kind of looks up Kakarot's power level. It's like, 500, not bad. I must admit, your power's not bad, Kakarot. Unfortunately, boom, just smacks Goku back. It's like, and Krillin's, hey, you, and they all kind of just get smacked back down by Raditz. He takes Gohan. He's like, I'll be taking your son. If you want to make amends, you fools kill 100 humans each, and get back to me by the end of the day. And then now, ta-ta. He's like, Gohan! It's like, damn it! It's like, we gotta go, Nimbus! And they call it, and obviously Piccolo shows up. It's like, fine, whatever, Piccolo, just don't get in our way. He's like, you don't get in my way. And they all fly off. Those who can fly, those who can ride Nimbus, whatever. And so afterwards, we know Gohan's trapped in the same pod. He says, wait, the powers, what there's a being with, and I'm trying to remember what the combined, he said it was like a combined power of like 600 before he realized it was Goku. Given the power levels I currently have right now, all of them are currently, except for Tien. Tien's probably at max power. The others are still wearing their weighted training clothes. Except for Yamcha. Notice Yamcha doesn't wear that. So Yamcha would also be at 400. Yamcha might even be a little outpacing him. But regardless, 4-4, 5-5. Well, technically Piccolo's at 4, so 4-4, 12. 5-17. Goku's at 5, so 2,200. Oh, and Chaozu, 200. So 2,400. And Raditz immediately freaks out when he sees that a being on this planet with 2,400 power level of 2,400? It's like, Raditz, like, I can barely muster 1,500. This, what, wait. No, it's not one power. It's many. At least half a dozen of them. What is this? And there's a, so, Kakarot, you and your cohorts are here. Excellent. It's like, cram it. I'm care for my son. So does that mean you've chosen not to adhere to my request? And even Tien picks up. We're taking the kid back. You can either, and he's getting ready. Chaozu's getting ready. You can either give him back willingly, or we can take him back. You really think you can stand against me? Your power is nothing compared to mine. Then all of a sudden, Piccolo takes off his weighing cloth. All of a sudden, his scouter starts to go. Okay, it doesn't break, but I'm not timing that either. That's just perfect. So his scouter starts to go off. He's seeing, like, wait, they're hiding the power? No, 500, 600, 500. I see. So you've been hiding some extra power. That's still not enough to take me. I'm at least twice as strong as you, Kakarot, and 3 times as strong as the rest. Maybe, but strength isn't everything. And say, really? Well, then why do we test that theory then? You miserable sacks of Saiyans! And he starts beating the hell out of a lot of them. Goku being at 600 though, which is 200 more than he was in the original, means that unlike before where Goku and Piccolo were really outmatched by Raditz's sheer power and couldn't fight evenly, Goku's still outmatched, but that gap is closed by a solid chunk. So instead of just being like completely bashed around, Goku's is at least able to kind of block when he's getting hit and occasionally dish out a counter strike that does take Raditz by surprise. Krillin and Piccolo also try to tag team him occasionally, and the 3 of them combined are stronger than him. Not by much, but they are stronger. And he is actually having to put in actual effort here. He's like, you blasted. Eventually he just gets pissed off. Tien comes in using multi-form. Yamcha comes in, Wolf Fang Fist! It's like, enough! Poof, just blast them back. Comes in, boom! Breaks Yamcha's arm. Takes off Piccolo's. You blast Krillin back. Goku's is just, I gotta try Kame! And if I remember correctly, Goku's power more than doubled when he did Kamehameha. When his power over 1,200, and Piccolo's also trying to charge his Masen Kapo. So Raditz has to basically put in everything he can to block it, and he's able to before he ultimately falls flat in his face. And I don't mean he falls like I mean he's in the sky. He's still kind of jacked up from the Kamehameha a little bit. Piccolo is also trying to charge his attack, and as he's about to move, he just and Tien finally is behind him because Tien is the one who would play dirty a little bit here, even with his honor. It's like you really think we're gonna let you just they'll let you get away with it? You really think we're not your cohorts. We're Saiyans like you. That's the only thing we have in common. We don't believe in the same principles you do. Let me go. And by the way, none of them would be stupid enough to create an artificial moon, given the fact that he is that much more powerful than them. No. And it's like, got you now. It's like, wait, Raditz. It's like, please let me go, Kakarot. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry. Don't let me die. I don't want to die. And it's like, let him go, Tien. Are you insane, Goku? Let him go. If he really means it, it's fine. It's like, get out of the way, Goku. It's fine, Piccolo. It's like, fine, but I'm taking this. I'm taking this, and they shoot. My tail! And he just starts standing up. Now, maybe let's stop this and just talk. Let's actually get to know each other. Let's figure out what we have in common, what we can do. He said there was more Saiyans out there. We could get together. We could start anew on this planet. It's like, and then he just boom smashes Tien back, who's weaker than Goku. Tien! And he just smacks Goku back. Piccolo just tries to, Master Gapu! It's like, and he manages to hit his shoulders. His shoulder just goes dead. And now he can't even change to a great ape. So they at least have that on him. Should know Goku still has his tail in this version, by the way. You! It's like, Goku! It's like, you Namekian, you're dead. And you too, Kakarot. But I'm going to waste all you. And then all of a sudden they feel the power up. But, and smacks him. And you go on! Piccolo! Is he going to charge another one? I'm already doing it, but it'll take more time. You have to stall him. Goku! And all of a sudden, Raditz appears. Your next cue ball. And it's that slow motion. Krillin! No! And it's like, oh! Right through the chest. And everyone's like, and there's Krillin stands like, Goku? And there's Goku managing to get in there, but he's got it in his heart. Just basically, you don't hurt my friends. I don't care if you're my brother. You don't hurt my friends. It's like, you cock. And then all of a sudden, Goku's kind of dying on his feet. Everybody's like, you're not going anywhere. Piccolo! It's like, not bad, Goku. Master Gapu! And then Plaza, and then straight yeah, I mean, Goku's pretty much down for the count here. Goku, and everyone, Yamcha with his Rokugan, is like, Goku! And he gets his final parting words, just, no one's turning into a Super Saiyan, by the way, right now, because they just don't have the level of power for it right now. Granted, there are certainly what-ifs where I'll do the Super Saiyan at early levels, but that's because that is what the what-if's about. Realistically, these guys are nowhere near the level of power for Super Saiyan right now. First off, we know now it's about S cells, apparently, but the way I've always heard it is you have to be at least at 100,000, roughly speaking, to be at Super Saiyan levels. Bardock doesn't count because that's not canon. So that's the way I've always heard it. At least the methodology I've gone with. So you're not going to see any of them hit Super Saiyan until one of their power levels is at least at 100 grand. And so ultimately they end up seeing, Roshi and Bulma get there. No. And they see Goku's body as he gave his life in the end, doing what he did best, protecting others. That's okay. We can get the Dragon Balls and bring him back, and then his body disappears. And they hear from Khan that, don't worry, Goku is safe. Goku's body is safe, but he is needed for something greater. What do you mean? And then they hear that on the scouter that Vegeta and Nappa will be coming. Or it was through Kami, one of the two. That's how they heard it. Meanwhile, Piccolo, regenerates his arm. And fun fact about Piccolo, we know this to be a fact. He does actually get it's not truly a Zenkai, but it's like a micro Zenkai. It's like a micro boost. He gets like a 2 or 3% increase from what his power was. Which, given the fact that it wouldn't be high, but it'd be about like 515, which is not nothing. I mean, once you get into like millions or like tens of millions or billions, those increases are a lot bigger. But still. Now, that being said, he comes to try to take Gohan. However, even though he's not technically the strongest one there, he still would have to go through Yamcha, Tien, and Krillin. All of whom, by the way, once they recover, will be getting a Zenkai. Now, Yamcha actually would probably be getting the biggest Zenkai here because he just has his arms kind of shattered. Senzu Bean can do a lot. But Krillin and Tien are also got roughed up pretty good here. So they would most likely, they'll be getting Zenkais as well. And we'll talk about, and Chaozu as well. Chaozu tried his best, but Chaozu's always going to be kind of the butt of the joke here. By the way, Chaozu has one hair. So, Super Saiyan Chaozu gets to just have his one hair stick straight up. And then have a lightning hair, which goes a little longer. That one super long hair in Super Saiyan 3 Chaozu. And then what the hell is Super Saiyan 4 Chaozu even? I'm not saying I'm using Super Saiyan 4, by the way. We're not even close to me using that here. But I'm just figuring out what Super Saiyan 4 Chaozu even freaking looks like. Does the hair get like massive split ends and look like a fern or something? Like a foxtail? Like, I don't know. Let me know what you would think Super Saiyan 4 Chaozu would look like. We know actually from art that Super Saiyan, like Nappa, only his beard hair changes. So Tien actually really wouldn't change his appearance with Super Saiyan. It's not like he grows hair. Krillin's a weird one, because Krillin, we know, just keeps his head waxed. So if he's bald, but ultimately like ends up going Super Saiyan 3, my guess is he actually would grow, his hair would grow out. That's my guess anyway. Regardless, Piccolo attempts to take Gohan. It's like, these guys are coming and I'm going to plan to train this kid up. Or at least he's about to get to Gohan, but before they step in, it's like, you really, look, we're all exhausted, but you really want to try to take me on right now. So, and Krillin, who admittedly is also kind of jonesing off an emotional rage boost, like, try it, just try it. And say, fine, but don't, fine, you win right for now. But don't let that kid slack, you hear me? Man, we can't afford it. That kid needs to be trained. And if I'm not doing it, one of you better, sure as shit better. And I'm not sure saying Piccolo would swear like that, but he would say, you damn better train that kid. He would say something like that. And so, basically, they have to break the news to Chi-Chi that Goku's dead, but also that the Saiyans are coming and that they're going to need to train Gohan. Like, no! Unfortunately, they do kind of take him to Kami's lookout for transit. Goku Becker! So that would happen. Now, where we're going to end this is finishing the training arc. Let's actually get one big one out. Let's get Piccolo out of the way right now. At 515 for his power level. And the fact that we know he got about an 8 times multiplier while training on his own, while also training Gohan. I've always been on the impression that he could easily get like a 12 times multiplier by just focusing solely on himself, maybe even more. For the sake of even numbers, let's just say it's around a 12 times multiplier. Times that by 500 or 515, and you've got, if I do my math correctly here, 10, you got me going right now. What do you got? I'm actually blanking on the number. Oh yeah, now I remember. You got about 118. I think that's the right number. 118. So you got about 6,180. So let's just round up to 6,200, which makes him exceptionally powerful. Let's also now focus on Goku, whose power level, technically he's dead, so I don't know if he even get a Zenkai as a dead corpse. If he came back, maybe he'd be a Zenkai, but I'm going to say he doesn't have one as a corpse. Regardless, at 600, training on King Kai's planet, same rate he was doing, everything. He got around a 20 times boost, same around there. I imagine he still get a 20 times boost here, which would put him around 12,000. I also think, as I always say, that means he can handle at least one step up above a times 2. He can handle a triple Kaioken without too much ill effect. Ultimately, I think all his Kaioken gets boosted up by 1. So his limit, in theory, is 5, which at times 12 means he can hit around 60,000 if he needed to. Now the rest of them, that's where this gets interesting, because they're also training Gohan here, and trying to avoid Chi-Chi from trying to kill them. You add Zenkais into the into the mix. That's where it gets interesting. Because how often are they getting Zenkais? How severe are the Zenkais? Let's also talk about the Zenkais they already got. Yamcha, I'm going to say, is about now, because Zenkais usually are about 25 to 33%, occasionally a big 50 times boost. And then when you get dynamic, they go crazy for a little bit. I will say that Broken Arm was easily a 3rd boost, which would mean that he's around 550. Tien's probably not as strong. He's probably only hovering on, like, say, a 450. Chaozu, being as weak as he was, probably might. Let's be nice and say 300. Krillin got pretty messed up. I would say he's around 600, Goku's level as well. And, I mean, technically speaking, I guess Gohan maybe gets the Zenkai because he did get roughed up a little bit. So using the pendulum room to training, I think using the pendulum room is also not a bad way to kind of mature Gohan up a little bit. Yes, he's going to be terrified at first, but ultimately, I think between the supportive words of his friends, you know, Krillin, Yamcha, all of them, and even words of wisdom from Kami about, you know, at one point maybe Gohan's just like, I want to be strong, I want to help fight for Dad, but I'm scared, Mr. Kami. It's like, you know, I cannot blame you for being scared, Gohan. A boy your age should not be having to fight these battles. You should be enjoying your youth. But you have the potential to help people in ways that your mother, God bless her, can't seem to understand. What you do with that power is up to you. Do you wish, ultimately, do you wish to be someone who helps, who fights for others, or do you wish to be someone who just watches others fight for you? That is a choice you will have to make, my boy. And you know, he's looking at Kami, and he's like, looks at him, and he sees him kind of like as a grandfather. He's like, this is a good man, this is a kind old man. Yeah, he's made mistakes, but he's learned from them. It's like, I'm gonna, you know, he wipes the tears. He's probably at, it's like, all right, let's do this. And so he spends and I think it takes at least a couple months to do that. And remember, this is about a year's time. So he ultimately gets to training. He's scared, but he overcomes his fear after, you know, the pendulum happens a couple times, seeing friends get hurt, murdered, whatever. Finally, rage boosts and starts beating the Saiyans, and they have to start upping the level of Saiyan they fight after a while. Until eventually, they're now cleaving through the pendulum room. Kami even considers for a moment using the hyperbolic time chamber. However, he ultimately decides against it as there's Krillin, Yamcha, Chaozu, Tien, and Gohan. There's an odd number of them, so that really wouldn't work out well. But B, it's probably not for. There's other things they can do. They can just up the they can use figures of the past, all that. Not to mention the training they're doing themselves, teaching Gohan to fight. So, where are our fighters by the end of this training arc? I will say between Zenkai's, and we can also use the gauge of how strong they got in between the Raditz and Saiyan arc. Let's start with Krillin. Krillin's power is a little deceptive. The Daizenshuu puts it at 12, but then after Namek, around Namek, he's actually at 15. And we know he didn't get a Zenkai, which means that was probably a suppressed power. Because we also did that big charge shot against the Cybermen. He wiped them all out, and his power was like 17 something. So there's that. So 15, and he was at 206. That means Krillin took, roughly speaking, a near 8 times multiplier in power. About 7.5. Let's just say 7 for conservative sakes. If we add Zenkais in there, I'm going to go all the way to 10. Now, that might not seem like a lot, but remember, Krillin's power right now is equivalent to what Goku's was. So that puts Krillin around 6,000. Krillin's also technically the strongest one in the group, so he has the least wall. Yamcha was around 5, as I said. 550, as a matter of fact. Yamcha also didn't take a bad increase. His increase was around 8. But here, because I'm going to say it's, again, about 10 as well. Which puts him, roughly speaking, at 5,500. Then there's Tien, who's around 450-ish. Tien is an interesting one, because Tien's around 250. He is about 7 times, almost the full 8, but unfortunately he didn't hit 2,000. The difference here, though, is he's now got the advantage of training with others, and he's kind of, except for Chaozu, and not even Gohan, except for Chaozu, he is actually the weakest one. I actually think because of also his style, he put a little bit more effort. So I'm going to go be kind and say actually around a times 12 multiplier, which would put him just below Yamcha. Chaozu and Gohan are the two big question marks here. Chaozu we put around 300. With Zenkai's, repeated Zenkai's getting his ass kicked, he actually is probably grown quite powerful very quickly, all things considered, plus his overall training. I'm going to say he's around 3,000. Low but high for Chaozu at this point. And last but not least, Gohan, who did decide to take things seriously and train in the pendulum room with the group. To be kind, I think I'm going to put him at 2,500. I think that's a more than reasonable spot, especially for a kid who hasn't really figured anything out yet about himself or how to train. And so eventually Goku is wished back. They all find the Saiyans and or feel the Saiyans coming and approaching, and they ultimately meet up with Piccolo, who's in the desert, as they find him to be actually the strongest individual on the planet. Him and just barely, he's the strongest. Like by 108, by 200 points, he's the strongest. Krillin can give him a good run for his money, and even if he strategizes, probably defeat him. Regardless, that's where these guys are at. Goku is on his way, and Vegeta and Nappa are here, and they want to know about these other Saiyans. So that is going to be where part 2 ends. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.